Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing? This is your man, Rondell Jordan, aka the Black Swan. I'm here with another study, Bible study here. Today we're going to go through Genesis 4. This is last, of course, the last blog I did, Genesis 3, where we went through Adam and Eve's life, went through that story, and kind of cherry picked what we learned from that. One of the things that I did was compare the serpent to an African perspective, which is worn on the front of crowns of Egyptian or Kemetic kings. Of course, as you can see here, I did not type in anything to do with Egypt. I put in serpent in Kemet. That's it. And as you can see, all of this comes up. And it's a lot. It's a lot. It has a lot to do with medicine, right? And the flow of energy through the human body, right? And the origins of human beings, being the sperm, right? The sperm becoming the brain and the spleen of a human being. And at the center of that whole structure, right, is what we call a third eye, right? And in the Egyptians, they wore a serpent, right? Because we know that Christ said that to be what? Wise as a serpent and as harmless as a dove, right? And so today what we're going to do is we're looking at Cain and Abel. And this is Genesis 4. So let's just go ahead and dive in with Genesis 4:1. Now Adam knew Eve. We discussed that knew means basically sexual relations, right? And if you put any pretty much other translations, they'll just go ahead and put it in there that Adam had sexual relations. He's also applying the knowledge in past tense. Okay, knew is to know in past tense. So now that he knows, he's applying the knowledge. Okay, so I'm just pointing that out to establish how the Bible writers write, how crafty they are. Okay, so the serpent, we determined that everything the serpent had said actually came to pass. So you be determined on who was being deceptive, and rather than the actual writer or the storyteller telling you that the serpent was being cunning. You need to do that on your own. So with that same type of mindset, we're looking at Genesis 4. All right. So now Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bore Cain and said, I have acquired a man from the Lord. Then she bore again, this time his brother Abel. Now Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. Now it's very important to notice how the progression of that story is going. Okay, they're not talking about anything about their childhood because really that doesn't really matter. Okay, it's in the mind of the storyteller. They're only going to be telling you information that is very vital to the story or what ultimately they're trying to go. And this is an entire book. So now we're getting into Abel was a keeper of sheep. Cain was a tiller of ground. To be a keeper of sheep means that the domestication of animals is occurring in this story. All right. So we're not talking about the beginning of human beings. We're talking about, we can actually just look it up. Domestication of sheep started in Mesopotamia through the Mesolithic era around 8,000 BC. Okay. So, we have a date. You can look it up in various different ways. You can look it up. The sheep, the history of the domesticated sheep goes back between 11,000 and 9,000 BC, and the domestication of the wild mouflon, an ancient Mesopotamian sheep, are among the first animals to have been domesticated by humans. And there is evidence of sheep farming in Iranian statuary dating to that time period. Okay, and so when you look at a wild mufflin, let's see if we can look at a wild mufflin, and we'll just quickly do this. Paste, go, and you see what it looks like here. Okay, so this is what a sheep ancestor looked like. Okay, and see the protection on his head. This on his head. It loses that. See that? Or it shrinks dramatically. Okay. But it starts out brown not because of a racial issue. It's because this is protection from the element, specifically the sun, the rays of the sun. Without the melanin characteristics, sun becomes a damaging aspect to life. Therefore, it's a negative, not a positive, which has a lot to do with the evolution of man, obviously, right? Okay, so anyway, that's a different subject. I just want you to see that there is, when they say a keeper of sheep, they're just not telling you there's a keeper of sheep. They're telling you a time period, okay? And also a capacity of man, because to domesticate an animal is talking about a sophistication of in the development of human beings as well. So that's that's a specific period of time. But Cain was a tiller of the ground. So Cain was a tiller of ground. Now keep in mind, Cain is tiller of the ground. You see what I'm saying? Whereas Abel is more of a shepherd, right? Cain is a tiller of the ground. He's working the ground. He's tilling. To till the ground is hard work. It's not saying, he's a gardener or the Lord of the ground. No, it's saying he's, a tiller. It's a horizontal bar fitted to the head of a boat rudder. That's not, we're talking about more of a plow, okay? A cultivator, okay? It's a machine for breaking up soil, right? So this is what he did, okay? So, and in the process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought an offering of the fruit of the ground to the Lord. So Cain was the first to bring the fruit, okay? Abel also brought of the firstborn of his flock and of their fat, okay? So fat is a nice way of telling you that they were killed, okay? They were they were killed and given off as an offering, okay? All right, so he went and got the firstborn of his flock and their fat. And the Lord respected Abel and his offering, but he did not respect Cain and his offering. Okay, so that's the thing. Why did not the Lord respect Cain's offering? He tilled the ground. He was a tiller of ground. He was the first to bring an offering, right, of the fruit. Okay. Now his parents got in trouble for fruit in the previous story, right? Consuming the fruits of knowledge. And therefore now Cain and Abel are here because of the applying that knowledge. And so now that this is what's causing the discord between brothers is what? Disrespect, a matter of respect. And Cain was very angry and his contendants fell. Okay. So the Lord said to Cain, "Why are you angry? And why has your contendants fallen?" If you ask me, this is just my personal opinion, and I'm saying, why would God have to ask, why are you angry? He already knows why he's angry. He's angry because his offering was just disrespected. And he was the first to offer. Imagine you have two sons, and your two sons come to you. One comes first, and you know this son to be a gardener. He works in the yard all day. This is what he do. He plants seed. He gotta wait and grow the seed. Then he got to pick the fruit over time. Then he brings it back to you, and you eat the fruit. As an authority figure, all you have to do is just embrace that child, embrace that young man, whoever it is, and appreciate his offering, right? And then the next one comes in and he brings his offering, and he's a flock. He's in the flock. He has the flock, and he kills one of his firstborns. Wow. He brings his. Why not accept both of them? But because one was not accepted in the other, this creates a resentment and a divide that's not really necessary, right? Not necessarily if, like the serpent said, like Christ said, be wise as a serpent, right? And as harmless as a dove. This doesn't apply to in that situation, because he says, why are you angry? He's angry because he was just disrespected. And why has your contentance fallen? The same reason. If you do well, will you not be accepted? And if you do not do well, sin lies at your door. And its desire is for you, but you shall rule over it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the first time that sin is brought into the picture. And keep that in mind, it's with Cain, which eventually is going to become Canaan. All right, which now Cain talked with Abel, his brother. And it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel, his brother, and killed him. Then the Lord said to Cain, where is Abel, your brother? He said, I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper? Now keep in mind, you don't see anything have to do with clubs or stones. It just says he rose up, to rise up. It's very specific. To rise up. Okay, to rise. It's the past though. So it already happened, so it's in the past tense. So he rised. Okay? All right? Move from a lower position to a higher one. Come up, all right, come or go up. Okay? So to rise up, like rise up, my people. Okay? That Cain rose up against Abel, his brother, and killed him. Okay? Then the Lord said to Cain, where is Abel, your brother? He said, I don't know. Am I my brother's keeper? And he said, what have you done? The voice of your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. So now you are cursed from the earth, which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. Again, it is very important for us to recognize that the authority figure in this story says, the voice of your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. So he's able to hear blood. Okay? The voice, blood speaks. This is very important. So it's the second thing, because Abel brought the firstborn of his flock and of their fat, and the Lord respected that. See what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is, you gotta keep in mind these things, okay? All right. So now Cain rose up against his brother. His brother became the slain now. All right. So let's get back to where we were. Uh, brother, now, brother, keep. All right. So now you are cursed from the earth, which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand, which you till the ground. It shall no longer yield its strength to you. A fugitive and a vagabond you shall be on the earth. Okay, so that's very important right there because, like I said, they're only talking about what's important. A fugitive and a vagabond. Fugitive meaning, pretty much almost like, wanted, right? A hunted, a person who has escaped from a place or is in hiding, especially to avoid arrest or persecution. See what I'm saying? Right? An escapee, runaway, deserter, okay? A refugee, a vagabond, okay? A vagabond, a person who wanders from place to place without a home or job, okay? So, like, for an example, as an African American, Afro American, um, who is a um, descendant of the African diaspora, uh, we are people that are displaced. We do not have a land. We don't have a place or country or nation of our own. So we are without a land. So this is part of the whole perspective that we're getting at here, that there's always two sides to a story. There's multiple perspectives, and you have to be careful on which perspective that you adopt. You should have your own perspective first, and then now you can determine which one you relate most to. Okay, so this is all we're coming to here. So we're just going through the words and seeing what the word says. So it says, the voice of the brother's blood cries out to me. And that's what I'm saying. He is able to hear and speak in the language of blood, not of the fruits of the ground. Okay. Now, it says, now this is about the first thing this authority figure does is, of course, curse from the earth. Okay. So we're talking about land. Okay. The earth, land, in this specific place, which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you till the ground, it shall no longer yield its strength to you. A fugitive and a vagabond you shall be on the earth. Okay, so also it says, when you till the ground, it shall no longer yield its strength to you. So, its wealth, will not go to you. It will go to you. It's going to continue on, but it's going to go to those who are oppressing you, right? Those who are persecuting you. So in our perspective, our ancestors worked the land, right? They tilled the ground, right? But the slave master got the fruits of whatever benefit. They built their enterprises. They ate the food. They put their kids through colleges. They got the fruits of the yield from working and toiling the ground, and not their descendants. And here we are, most of us still trying to start up, mom and pop spots and barbershops and beauty shops, but we don't have the capital to buy the concrete equipment, or the factories to build industries, to build spaceships, to build cars. We would have to go to a bank, and we already know that. But anyway, let's move on. Verse 13. And Cain said to the Lord, my punishment is greater than I can bear. Surely you have driven me out this day from the face of the ground. I shall be hidden from your face. I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond on the earth. And it will happen that anyone who finds me will kill me. All right, so that's a very important statement. He's still speaking to God directly, right? Okay, and He's being afraid of what? Being driven or hidden from your face. So it's saying that this God, he's speaking to him face to face. And we already determined in the previous podcast in Genesis 3 that they heard the Lord walking in the garden in the cool of the day. It says that's Genesis 3:8. And they heard the sound of the Lord walking in the cool of the day, right? And there it is. Then they heard the sound of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day, specifically when it's cool, not when it's hot. Okay, like a master would, right? Your master ain't gonna come out when it's in the sweltering heat. He gonna come out in the cool of the day. And like I said, they don't spend time wasting on things other than things that make a difference. And it's up to you to pick it up or not. He also said that man has become like one of us, right? Just like the serpent said. The serpent said, God knows in the day you eat of it, your eyes will be open. You will be like God, knowing good and evil. So this is the third thing that the serpent said that was correct. God said it himself. So, there's a lot of attributes, right? Because we also know that that God made them tunics of skin and fur. And so why I'm saying all of this is the Lord God made them tunics of skin and clothed them. Tunics of skin, this specifically is telling you that is made from an animal that was hunted, that was killed. And who made that? God made that. So is your God capable of making tunics of skin? And I know for a lot of people that's blind, people are like, well, of course, God is capable of doing all things. No, some things God do through human beings. And one of the things that God do through human beings is clothes, articles of clothes. So a human being could be possessed in your mind and could be inspired by God to make the most beautiful piece of fabric on the planet, right? And he said, this is God's, design, and it's made in gold and all the finest things. Whatever it is, it still was made by man, right? And, and it says specifically a tunic of skin. So this means that this was hunted, an animal that was hunted. Okay. Also, it says that he called out to her, right? Right? How did they hid themselves? Why, what I'm saying? I heard your voice in the garden and I was afraid because I was naked. Like I said, who gets naked and afraid to be naked around God? It's an internal thing. If in my mind, in my opinion, my God is an eternal thing. No disrespect. I'm just saying we are analyzing the story for what it is. So let's move on, okay? So, Cain is now in vagabond and he's afraid. And he's saying, God, please, you about to send me from your face, right? You're about to drive me out this day from the face of the ground, from my land, basically, from the land. And I shall be hidden from your face, right? And I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond on the earth. And it will happen that anyone who finds me will kill me. And I'm trying to tell you is that if you've been told that these are the first human beings on the planet, and Cain and Abel are the third and the fourth human beings on the planet. If you believe that, then how do you substantiate the story? This is all I'm saying. And if it isn't what it is written in the story, then why is it wrong for us to acknowledge what the story is saying? You see what I'm saying? That Cain is afraid of being killed. And so the Lord says to him, therefore, whoever kills Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. Now, this is going to come back in the future here. And the Lord said, a mark on Cain, lest anyone find him should kill him. A lot of people were taught, including myself, that the mark was on the forehead. And I've always thought that, but it does not say that. But therefore, there was a mark. That's all. So that mark could be anywhere. Okay, keep that in mind. On Cain. All right. Lest anyone find him should kill him. Okay. And this is the same thing as if you would put a mark on your slave in case he run away, right? Something like that, or give him. Let's put him. I take that back. It's more like giving them a certificate to go out, right? Least the slave be killed or that freedman or whatever freed that slave that is now freed, the slave that is now freed, is caught by some basically hunters, right? Remember we talking about vagabonds, fugitives, be like a fugitive. So you're being like a runaway slave. And some, a bounty hunter or whatever you want to call a slave catcher catches you, you better have your papers, right? Even now, to this day, if I get pulled over I better have my license. I better have those papers, right? All right. So a lot of us brothers still drive to this day like we're fugitives, right? Always looking over our shoulders, avoiding the cops, going in opposite directions, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. We still to this day. All right. And the Lord said to him, therefore, whoever kills. All right. So, the Lord basically spoke protection in his name. So then Cain went out from the presence of the Lord. So he left the presence of the Lord. Keep that in mind. The landlord, it sounds like, because this obviously he's left the land and he's called that man Lord, right? So he's left the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land. Now, see, we're talking about land of Nod on the east of Eden. Now, Nod, let's look up Nod. Nod, lower and raise one head slightly and briefly. You got that? Nod, especially in greeting, assent or understanding, or to give someone a signal. He nodded to Monica to unlock the door. Keep that in mind, the nod, okay? But he went to the land of Nod on the east of Eden. On the east of Eden. So, keep that in mind. Eden, Nod. Okay, so Eden's to the west, right, of Nod. Okay, and I always ask, why don't we ever explore the lineage, the culture, the people of Nod? What about the people of Nod? And why don't we know? Because these people are existing at the same time as Cain, which means whoever his wife was, and Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bore Enoch, his wife had a father and a mother, correct? So if his father had his wife had a father and mother, they were of the same age and generation as Adam and Eve. So again, are we talking about the first human beings on the earth? And if we are not, what's wrong about saying what is actually written in the Bible, which means that there was a people that Cain was afraid of being killed by. There was a people in which Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east of Eden, and Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bore Enoch. Again, they use new, supplementing sexual relations. Okay? Applying knowledge in the past tense. And Cain knew, all right, and he built a city and called the name of the city after the name of his son Enoch. Okay? He built a city. how you build a city with a wife and just yourself, and called the name of that city after his son Enoch. To Enoch was born Irad, and Irad begot Mehujael, and Mehujael begot Methushel, Methushel begot Lamech. It's about to be about him. Then Lamech, or Lamech, however you want to say, took for himself 2 wives. Okay? Enoch bore Irad, Irad begot Mehujael. Mehujael begot Methushel. Methushel begot Lamech. Lamech took for himself 2 wives. That's like 4 generations. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 generations, and now he got 2 wives. The name of one was Adah, and the name of the second was Zillah. Anybody heard of that before? Adah and Zillah? Now Adah bore Jabal. He was the father of those who dwell in tents and have livestock. His brother's name was Jubal. He was the father of all those who play the harp and flute. Now, it's funny that in Egypt, they played the harp, right? It's a pretty large statement. You see this? See that? How on the planet can they say that? Can you see that? You see that? The claims we have to. Now this is our moon right now. Let's see here. Not now, people, not now. All right? This is our moon, the sun ray, right? Look at the serpent around the sun. Okay? You see that serpent around the sun? And this is the God. This is the chief deity. This is our moon Ra. I didn't even say this or mention this in the last one. See that? The serpent is not evil. You've been tricked. You've been deceived. That's all I'm trying to say. And the thing that you've actually been worshiping, and you think that's God, that you've been calling God, they told you it's deceptive. He's a deceiver. It's a trick. The father of those who play harp and flute. And Zillah. And as for Zillah, she also bore Tubal Cain, an instructor of every craftsman in bronze and iron. Bronze Age and Iron Age. Okay, Tubal Cain. And the sister of Tubal Cain was Nama. I love that name. Nama. Then Lamech said to his wives, this is very important, Adah and Zillah, hear my voice. Wives of Lamech, listen to my speech. For I have killed a man for wounding me, even a young man for hurting me. He's expounding upon that, right? Not just a man, a young man. And not for wounding me, for just hurting me. If Cain shall be avenged 7-fold, then Lamech 77-fold. Remember, give your brother 7 times 7. 77-fold. And Adam knew Eve again, and she bore a son and named him Seth. So all of this happened, these 4 generations of Cain, notice that, happened before the birth of Seth, the 3rd child of Adam and Eve, who replaced the son that they lost, Abel. It says, knew his wife again. She bore a son and named him Seth, for God appointed another seed for me instead of Abel, whom Cain killed. And as for Seth, to him also a son was born, and he named him Enosh. Then men began to call on the name of the Lord. Okay. See, the people began to worship the Lord by name. Excuse me. The people, right? At that time, people first began to worship the Lord by name. You see that? You see that? Who's the Lord, ladies and gentlemen, that you're worshiping? There's all kinds of lords. Everyone has a landlord. There's Lord. Let's look it up. Look it up here. Look up Lord. Someone or something having power, authority, or influence. A master or ruler. Lord of the seas, Lord of the jungle, our Lord the King. A man of noble rank or high office. Master. That's what it means. This is your master. And he told you what to believe, and our people are believing it. Then they're singing and dancing, but nobody's researching and teaching the young people the actual word, the actual truth. The truth is, this is not a story about the first man and woman on the planet. And if anybody who read it could see easily that it's not about the first man and woman on the planet, that there was other people all over the planet. This is about Cain being cursed. And when you move forward, it's going to become Canaan very soon. In chapter 5, right now, I told you it's going to be Cain is just going to turn into Canaan right here through Enosh. Enosh was just born. Enosh has Canaan. After he begot Canaan, Enosh lived 815 years and had sons and daughters, so that all the days of Enosh was 905 years, and he died. Cain lived 70 years. Now, it's very important that, you go all the way down here. Of course, it's about curse because of the ground, land. Okay? Now, it's very important to recognize this because a lot of people haven't been taught that, guess what? Noah's lineage, right here, Lamech, lived 108 years and had a son, and he called his name Noah. Ladies and gentlemen, Lamech. Remember the man we just got finished talking about, that talked about that he was talking to his wife saying that I have killed a man? Right? Lamech, right here. He had 2 wives, Adah and Zillah, right? And he told him that I have killed a man for wounding me, and I have a young man. So he killed 2 men. Where he find it's people out here, people. Right? He's telling you he's killed 2 men, he's got 2 wives. And this is all in the same chapter from when they was born. And this is all before their brother Seth was born. And they're going to get to Seth. But in chapter 5, we find out that Noah is the son of this man, Lamech. Now, let's keep in mind that all the days of Lamech were 777 years. See that? And he died. You see the correlation? You think it's a coincidence? 77-fold. See the age? 77 years. Have to pay attention, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? And Noah was 500 years old, and Noah begot Shem, Ham, and Japheth. All in the same year. They had 3 sons. They mentioned Shem first, then Ham, and then Japheth. Ladies and gentlemen, come on now. This is Noah. This means the earth is about to be flooded. Everything has been corrupted. So, Lamech had Noah. Lamech is the great-great-grandson of Cain. But Lamech was living and had 2 wives during the time where Adam was just now having a son named Seth. Now, it did say that Lamech had just died. This is Noah's father. And then suddenly, Noah is 500 years. This is 500 years later. And now Noah has his first 3 sons. We'll get into that later on. Let me know what you think. Leave your comments. Please leave comments, even if they're not against what I'm saying. Allow it to be backed by the book, backed by the words. As you see, everything that I went through here is word from any Bible. You can go through any Bible. They're all here. They all here. We have the technology. We looked it up in definitions in the dictionary. So we know we're talking about master. If I say master, you can't, or ruler, or leader, or landlord. You can't get mad at me for saying what is actually there. We're talking about we're talking about at the end of the story, at the end of this whole story that Cain, it says, then man began to call on the name of the Lord. All right. This is the New Living Translation. It says, at that time, people first began to worship the Lord by name. Okay. And this is what I'm talking about, is that people are worshiping a Lord, and you have to, without discerning what is that Lord that I'm worshiping. It's fine to worship the Lord. There's nothing wrong with that. But who are we talking about? Okay. You see this? Enosh, mortal man, mankind. There was a book of Enoch that's omitted, that a lot of people have now come into. And that same time, man began to call in the name of the Lord in worship through prayer, praise, and thanksgiving. This is the Amplified. See? So they're worshiping this Lord, the Lord of the land. And those who are worshiping are those who are tilling the land. Right? The descendants of Cain is where we're going to end up going. And the descendants of Cain are the descendants of those who were cast out of their land, the land of Canaan, right? And why were they cast out of their land, right? Because eventually we're going to get to that, and they're getting it because that land and people from the east, Mesopotamia, right, in the region or the Caucasus Mountains, right, are going to migrate south in the representation of Abram. Abram becomes Abraham. We're going to get into that, how Abram inherits Abraham, becomes Abraham because he inherits Ham's blessing, the land of Ham, okay, through Canaan, cursing Canaan. And we're going to get into all of that. So just keep in mind, Canaan, all of that kind of stuff is all going to correlate. It just means land, right? The prime land, if you look at the land, and this is the last thing we'll do here, all right? We'll do the land of Canaan, right? Caanaan, I think, right? Canaan. All right. If you look at the land of Canaan, let's just do it here. Even this is even greater, right? This is Kemet. This is Africa, the continent of Africa. This is Europe, right? This is the Great Sea, or now it's now known as the Mediterranean Sea. And here is the ancient Mesopotamia. Now it's Iraq and, Iran here in the Persian area. And, you have Syria, and you have, the Middle East here. All right. So if you look, any person migrating, this is a land bridge, okay? Until they just built the Suez and Canal and all that kind of stuff here. This is a land bridge, okay? And so migration happened right here. I mean, this is just natural. It's not rocket science. It's not defined. Human beings flowed up the Nile, okay? And then they migrated north around and migrated around what they call the coastal people, okay? So these are all coastal people here. These are the coastal people. These are the tribal, the Jamaican people of the old days, okay? All right? And so Canaan is strategically placed in the middle of the traffic, right? The trade routes, okay? So if you're coming from Europe and you're going down and you're trying to trade in the Mecca here, which was if that era, I mean, they didn't build the pyramids that large for no reason. They were being constructed as people were coming to see the previous one from the predecessing ruler. Okay, so this was something that human beings were doing. This was like a natural wonder. People did, when this place, like people go to Dubai right now or go to Mecca right now. Okay, so people go there, they learn, they see the amazing pillars, they see the artwork all over the world. This was the epicenter of the ancient world. So traffic is moving here. Okay. All right. So if you're going to try to make money off all the traffic that's flowing through here, the pilgrimages and all that kind of stuff, right? You're going to try to stop here, and you're going to try to take over this. This is going to be the first place you're going to try to take over. So this is what happened. Abraham just came over here, pop, 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 right? And he put his fork in here, all right? And he said, basically, these people now had to go. These are more of the people who've been migrating out of this area for thousands and thousands of years. So there were different tribes, whether they 12 tribes or whatever they were, but there were a lot of different tribes, okay? There were different, just like in the Americas right now. In the Americas were various different tribes in just North America alone. There's 4 or 5 different tribes of the Mayan people alone. All right. So the point is, there were tribes all in here, and these people got to go because these are the original inhabitants. Abraham made sure that when he came over here, right? This Canaan's father is named Ham. Okay, and he was the son of Noah. Okay, right. The same thing with Shem and Joseph. Right. But instead of uh Ham being cursed, Canaan was the curse, which is consistent, you know. Uh, but the sons basically paying for. See, these were the sons of Ham. All right, so uh, the sons of Ham were Cush. Cush, we already know this. Put. These is African nations. Sheba, Seba, Sheba. All right, so but um, it's actually nine. All right. So here it is. Canaan be his servant. Canaan be his servant. All right. Cursed be Canaan. Now, what did Canaan do? Canaan didn't do anything in this story, right? Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the naked of his father and told his brothers outside, but Shem and Joseph took a garment, laid it on both of their shoulders, and went backwards and covered the nakedness of their father. So nakedness was a big problem here again. It's like in the original story with Adam and Eve, right? Nakedness. I hid myself because I was naked. That kind of stuff. All right. But the faces that turned away and they did not see their father's nakedness. So Noah awoke from his wine. So he awoke, right? He basically sobered up in the way of the story, but he stopped sleeping. This is all this is about. This means he became awareness. It became a consciousness. These are all put in there for a reason. To wake up, right? This is about to sleep. It says Eve's eyes, her eyes were open, right? Remember the serpent? The serpent said, it says that in the day, the serpent told the woman, here it is. The serpent told the woman, God knows in the day you eat it, your eyes will be open. You'll be like God, knowing good and evil, right? So it says the woman saw the tree was good. Her eyes was okay for the food, and it was pleasant to the eyes. Again, it was twice. The Bible writer put it there so that you know that it's not a coincidence. Saw and eyes. Our eyes are working fine, right? And the tree desirable will make one wise as a serpent, right? Wise, third eye, right? Wise, right? The serpent around Ra, this is a serpent. You can't see it on that picture. Wise, right? She took of his fruit and ate, and she gave her husband in with her, and he ate, and the eyes of both of them were open. See, the serpent was right again. See? Serpent said to the woman, your eyes will be open. The eyes of the both of them were open. So, tell me. All right? So, this is about money. This is about conquest. This is about conquering this land for its strategic position in the old world and still even in the new world. Okay? This is about controlling where every boat sailing around the sea naturally going to dead end right here. And you're going to come across, in order to get back to this land or cross anywhere over here, you got to go through these people here. You got to pay taxes. You got to pay tariffs. People coming from here, getting to the Jordan River, the Dead Sea, the Sea of Galilee. All of this stuff is in this area. And all of this stuff, so people hopefully was trying to bypass that, right? But this is the division of the Red Sea. See? See, if you didn't know better, this is one sea right here, and this is another. This is the Red Sea and the Great Sea, right? Right? You couldn't pass here. You couldn't pass here. You can only pass this land bridge. So this is the only way out of Egypt. And of course, that just symbolized the natural migration of human beings just wanting to know what the hell going on. Or I'm going to claim my own land. Or I'm going to go make my own space, build my own city. Me and my people is going to go up and find a vacant place. This is the natural thing to do. This is Moses dividing the seeds here. You see what I'm saying? Canaan. This is, they just, in their mind, this is the same body. It's just a little division here. But that's another story. Leave your comments. Let me know what you think. That's it for today. God bless.